Okay, so this is going to be part 2 of the notes. We'll pick up right at number 10, how do bacteria enter the body. So hopefully you got a chance to watch the incredible universe of the human microbiome and just finish out your notes there. The once the bacteria is able to get into the body, that means it has to get across the, right? So any little micro cuts certainly might allow bacteria in. If we eat food that's contaminated with harmful bacteria, drinking water can be contaminated with harmful bacteria. These are just some of the ways that bacteria can enter the body. And sometimes even they're airborne, right? And then we also have STIs, right? Sexually transmitted infections, animal bites, and there's other ways as well. But all of this is really about the pathogen getting through the skin and into the body. Just a couple of the symptoms of some of these foodborne illnesses. This is when, again, we take in food or water, and basically with a foodborne illness, you're going to get vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pains, etc. Right? So it's certainly not the best thing to have happen to us. These gastrointestinal or GI tracts are a little bit different than the stomach flu. Food poisoning, the GI stuff, is usually bacterial. The stomach flu, the flu is a virus. So gastroenteritis, the flu is the common way to say that, is a little bit different. And we'll talk about viruses as another form of pathogen once we're done with our bacteria. Okay. In our list here, we had the food and waterborne. There's also animal vectors. So just some classic ones here. Lyme's disease is a concern for sure, transmitted by ticks. We also have the Black Plague, typhus, and rabies, all just some examples on vectors that spread disease. Okay. Again, we just mentioned this before. The number one or the primary defense against pathogens, bacteria being perhaps one of them, is through the skin. We have cuts in the skin, we have openings in the skin, so we have mucous membranes around most of those. Then we also have some enzymes and stuff like that, like in our digestive tract, that help break down some of these. So again, just some ways that the body helps defend against bacteria. We're going to spend just a moment here looking at what happens when you get a splinter. And clearly with the splinter, it's going to go right past this first line of defense, and it's going to penetrate below the skin. And so if you've got a splinter and it's got bacteria on it, right, we've broken the skin barrier, and our immune system is going to kick into gear here, going to release some histamines. It's going to cause swelling, and then the swelling response is going to help fight off those bacteria. Okay, so splinters out the bacteria here, and then the immune system releases white blood cells. They're called macrophages. Those macrophages go in and they literally eat or consume the bacteria. And then sometimes at a splinter or a cut like this, you'll get some pus, which is just a collection of white blood cells, right, that have died as a result of their battle with these little pathogens. And that's how we would naturally fight off this pathogen entering with a splinter. If this was something your immune system couldn't handle, oftentimes you'll get prescribed antibiotics, which again, the antibiotics would then go in and fight the pathogens as well, help your immune system along the way. We have a lot of different types of bacteria, and life on Earth, right, is different today than it was in the past, and that happens because of evolution. Evolution is a process whereby organisms, groups of organisms with favorable traits survive, and once they survive, more often than others, they are able to produce more of themselves. And if there's variance in their genes, then those variants will get passed along as well. And sometimes bacterial resistance is one of those variants that get passed on and build up in a population. A classic example of that is MRSA. MRSA stands for methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. So Staphylococcus is a bacterial infection, and most Staphylococcus are killed, those bacteria are killed when they get exposed to this methicillin. this is an antibiotic. This particular group of Staphylococcus here are no longer going to be killed by this antibiotic. They're considered to be resistant, and this is why MRSA is such a big issue. So if you're an athlete here at South Lakes, you get MRSA training, and this is MRSA is very easily picked up off of like gym mats and surfaces, so it's a big problem. Once this infection takes hold, it's really hard to defeat. And in fact, back the stats from 2017, but 20,000 individuals in the U.S. died from MRSA infections. So pretty serious stuff here. One of the ways that these antibiotic-resistant bacteria are able to evolve as a population is when people don't finish their antibiotics. So when they're giving antibiotics as a prescription, usually the population, right, there's lots of normal bacteria and just a few that are resistant to the antibiotics. And so as you take the antibiotics, they kill off most of the bacteria, right, initially. It takes a little bit of time. But if you stop taking the antibiotics, the ones that are still around are going to then multiply. And suddenly now we've got a population, and you can see many more resistant bacterium, to the point now where that's what we have left in the population to infect us the next time, and that would certainly be problematic. Okay, all right. So that's a quick look at how how bacteria can get us sick. For the last one here, number 19, we're just going to write these at the top as we look at the pictures when we go from just a few resistant bacteria to lots of them, and then the difficulties that are there. Okay, on to viruses next.